The morning sunlight poured through the dusty windows of Lincoln High, casting long streaks of gold across the hallway. Students were everywhere, chatting, laughing, running and shouting as if the bell didn't matter. But amid all the noise and chaos, a girl walked quietly through the crowd, clutching her backpack tightly to her chest. Her name was Ava Reynolds, and today was her first day at this new school. Her transfer had come suddenly. Her family had moved after her father's company went bankrupt, and she'd left behind her old friends, her comfort zone, and every familiar face she knew. Now she stood at the gates of Lincoln High, her heart racing like she was about to enter a battlefield. Ava's uniform was slightly oversized, her sneakers clean but not new. She wasn't the type who demanded attention. Her long brown hair was tied in a simple ponytail, and her quiet eyes hid more stories than she could ever tell. She had always been shy, preferring books to people. But this school felt different, colder, louder, filled with sharp laughter that didn't sound friendly. Still, she took a deep breath and stepped in. "It's just a new beginning," she whispered to herself. When Ava entered her new classroom, a few heads turned. She smiled softly, trying to make a good impression. The teacher, Mrs. Peters, an older woman with glasses resting on her nose, smiled warmly. "Class, we have a new student joining us today. This is Ava Reynolds. Please make her feel welcome." A few students mumbled, "Hey," but most just stared. Ava nodded politely and scanned the room for an empty seat. At the back of the class, near the window, she spotted one. A single desk that looked unoccupied. She walked toward it. But before she could sit, a loud voice cut through the air. Excuse me, that's our spot." Ava turned to see Brianna Miller, the most popular girl in class, glaring at her. Brianna was tall, beautiful, and intimidating, with perfect hair and an attitude that said she owned the world. Next to her sat her best friend, Chloe, who smirked in amusement. Ava blinked. "Oh, sorry, I didn't know. The teacher said I could sit anywhere." Brianna scoffed. "Well, not there. That's been our desk since the first day of school. Everyone knows that." A few kids laughed quietly. Ava hesitated, glancing at Mrs. Peters, who was writing something on the board. The teacher didn't notice. Ava tried to smile again. "It's okay, I can sit somewhere else." She turned toward the front row, but every seat seemed taken. Some kids even spread their books and bags across empty chairs to keep her from sitting. She stood awkwardly for a moment, her heart sinking. Finally, Mrs. Peters looked up. "Ava, dear, have you found a seat?" Ava nodded quickly, not wanting to cause trouble. "Almost, Good," Mrs. Peters replied with a distracted smile, turning back to the board. But Brianna wasn't done. She whispered something to Chloe, who giggled. "You can sit on the floor if you want," Brianna said, just loud enough for Ava to hear. A few students snickered. Ava clenched her jaw but said nothing. She finally saw a seat near the front, a broken desk with scribbles and a missing drawer. She sat down quietly, ignoring the laughter behind her. Throughout the lesson, she tried to focus on Mrs. Peters' voice, but she could feel Brianna's gaze burning holes into her back. Every few minutes, Brianna or Chloe would whisper something. "She looks so lost. Bet she's homeschooled. Maybe she doesn't even have friends." It hurt, but Ava didn't respond. She just kept writing, her pen trembling slightly. At lunch, Ava found a quiet corner near the library, away from everyone else. She unpacked her sandwich and apple, trying to enjoy a little peace. That's when someone sat down beside her, a boy with messy hair and paint-stained fingers. "Hey, new girl," he said with a grin. "Mind if I sit here?" Ava blinked in surprise. Sure. I'm Liam," he said. "You're Ava, right? I saw you in homeroom." "Yeah," she said softly. He smiled kindly. "Don't worry about Brianna and her crew. They think they own the place, but they're just loud. You'll get used to it." Ava managed a small smile. "I hope so." For the first time that day, she felt a bit better. Liam talked about art, music, and how he hated math. He was easy to talk to, and his energy felt real, not fake like the others. When lunch ended, Ava thanked him and went back to class feeling a little braver. But as soon as she entered, she froze. Her bag was gone. Her books, notebook, even her pencil case. Everything had vanished. The class was half full, and Brianna was sitting at her desk, smirking, looking for something. New girl. Ava's stomach dropped. "Where's my bag?" Brianna tilted her head innocently. "I don't know. Maybe you misplaced it." Chloe giggled. "Or maybe it didn't like you and walked away." A few students laughed again. Ava's cheeks flushed red. Please, she said quietly. It's important. Brianna shrugged, pretending to think. Oh wait, you mean that bag? She pointed to the window. Ava's eyes followed. Her backpack was hanging outside the classroom window, swinging dangerously from a branch just a few feet away. Oops, Chloe said, laughing. Guess it wanted some fresh air. The class roared with laughter. Ava stood frozen, tears welling in her eyes. But before anyone could stop her, she walked to the window, climbed onto the ledge, and carefully reached out for her bag. The students gasped. She's actually doing it! Someone whispered. Her fingers brushed the strap, and suddenly the branch snapped. Gasps filled the room. But Eva reacted fast. She grabbed the frame with one hand and pulled herself back in, landing safely on her feet. The room went silent. Eva turned, breathing hard. She picked up her bag and looked straight at Brianna. For the first time, her voice was steady. You think this is funny? Brianna smirked. Relax, it was just a joke. Ava's eyes didn't waver. Then maybe it's time someone teaches you what a real joke looks like. Before Brianna could reply, Mrs. Peters walked in. What's going on here? She asked sharply. The class instantly went quiet. Nothing, ma'am, Brianna said sweetly. We were just welcoming Ava to the class. Mrs. Peters gave her a suspicious look but continued with the lesson. Ava sat down, still shaking slightly, but inside her something had changed. She was tired of being quiet. That evening, as she walked home, Liam caught up with her. Hey, you okay? She nodded slowly. Yeah. I just didn't expect all this. Liam frowned. Brianna's been queen of the school since forever. Nobody really stands up to her. Ava looked at him, determination flickering in her eyes. Maybe it's time someone did. The next morning, Ava arrived early. She sat at the same desk Brianna had claimed, the one by the window. When Brianna walked in and saw her, she stopped dead. What do you think you're doing? Ava looked up calmly. Sitting. That's my seat, Brianna snapped. Funny, Ava said, smiling faintly. Yesterday it was mine, remember? You said so yourself. The class murmured in surprise. No one had ever talked to Brianna like that. Move. Brianna hissed. No. Ava replied. I'm staying. The tension was electric. Brianna's face turned red. You're gonna regret this. Maybe, Ava said. But at least I'll regret something worth standing for. Mrs. Peters walked in just as Brianna was about to say something. Take your seats, everyone. Throughout the lesson, Brianna kept shooting daggers with her eyes, but Ava didn't flinch. She took notes, raised her hand to answer questions, and kept her head high. By the end of the class, even a few students who used to laugh with Brianna were whispering about Ava's courage. At lunch, Brianna tried to corner her again, but this time Liam was there, along with two other students who'd seen what happened. Back off, Brianna, Liam said firmly. You've gone too far. Brianna rolled her eyes. Oh, please, you're defending her now? Ava stepped forward. You can keep your attitude, Brianna, but not my respect. You lost at the moment you thought hurting someone made you powerful. For a moment, Brianna was speechless. The cafeteria went silent. Ava picked up her tray and walked away, her heart pounding but steady. For the first time, she wasn't scared anymore. That night, as she sat at her desk at home, Ava opened her journal and wrote, Sometimes, people test your strength not because they doubt you, but because they fear what you might become. And for the first time in years, she smiled at her reflection. Tomorrow, she knew, wouldn't be easy, but she also knew she wouldn't face it alone, because courage, once awakened, doesn't fade, it grows.